Ayodele Ameze and I'm here to teach biology. Today we'll be learning sense organs. This is the first part. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to list the major sense organs and infer their locations in the body. You should also be able to describe the organs of smell and taste. By the end of this class, you should be able to state the different taste sensations. One characteristic of living things is that they're able to respond to stimuli. And this is very important because it helps us be aware of our environment. It helps us know when something is wrong. It also gives us some form of pleasure. For instance, you can perceive the aroma of a meal. Cells carry stimuli through receptors. These are different receptors found in the body. These receptors help carry information to the spinal cord and the brain. The brain and the spinal cord makes up the central nervous system. The central nervous system is responsible for interpreting the stimuli. When the central nervous system interprets that stimuli, you're able to tell the information actually. For instance, when I look in your direction, I see you. I'm able to see you because my eyes pick the stimuli, sends it down, and it goes down to my central nervous system. The central nervous system processes it and gives me feedback to know that I can see you. Now, receptors help us respond to particular stimuli, and on this basis, they are grouped into different categories. Number one, we have the chemoreceptors. The chemoreceptors help us respond to chemicals in the environment. For instance, we can sniff in and some chemicals get into our nose. We perceive it as smell. Secondly, we have the mechanoreceptors. These help us respond to vibration, pressure, sound, and so on. An example of a mechanoreceptor are the receptors found in the skin. If I touch your skin or your friend holds your hand, you can actually feel the pressure or you feel my touch because of the receptors found on your skin. Thirdly, we have the osmoreceptors. They help us respond to the volume of water in the body. These most times come into play within the body as the body cells interact with the fluid around it. Our fourth receptor is the thermoreceptor. The thermoreceptor helps us respond to heat and cold. These are receptors also you can find on the skin. It helps us detect when our environment is cold or hot, or probably when the pot is very hot. The thermoreceptors on your skin, on your finger, will help tell you that. Number five, we have the photoreceptors. These help us respond to light. For instance, someone turns on the light in the room. You can tell that the light has come on because of the photoreceptors found in your eyes. We also have the nociceptors. These help us respond to damages that occur on our skin. For instance, when you have a cut, you can tell there's a wound there because on your skin you find nociceptors that help you perceive pain. There are some special receptors found in special organs called sense organs. Let's look at what sense organs are. Before we take a look at what sense organs are, let's try to explain what our senses mean. A sense can be defined as a means through which the body notices or detects stimuli from the environment. It also deals with becoming aware of something or some situation in our environment. When you hear a very loud sound within your environment that is not usual, you can quickly try to identify what that sound is because of your special sense organ, your ear. Now let's look at what sense organs are. Sense organs are organs in the body that help us detect stimuli from external environment. These sense organs send information to our central nervous system. Remember, I earlier said that our central nervous system processes this information and helps us give the right response. For instance, our chef, he can perceive the aroma from his meal or from the food he's cooking. Now, when he does perceive, the information about the stimuli goes straight to his brain, and then he can say, yes, this smells really nice. The sense organs in the body includes the nose, the tongue, the ear, the eye, and the skin. Now let's look at the particular locations of these sense organs in our bodies. Let's begin with the nose. The nose is located just below the eyes, but above the lip. The tongue, which is the organ of taste, is found within the mouth cavity. The mouth itself is located just below the nose and above the chin. The ears, they usually occur in pairs, one to the right and one to the left. They are located by the sides of the head. The eye also occurs in pairs. That means you find two of them in a person or in a given animal. They are located above the nose. The skin, on the other hand, is the largest organ in the body. It's located everywhere. It covers round the external parts of the body. Together, the sense organs help us understand clearly what's happening in our environment. The information about our environment is sent to the brain, which helps us make the right response. Now let's look at what the nose is. The nose is the organ of smell. What's smell? Smell is the ability to detect scent or odor of a thing. The organ of smell is also known as olfaction. The nose is able to detect certain chemicals. Remember, we said receptors that help us detect chemicals are called chemoreceptors. Now, they can help us perceive good food, decayed food, gases, good fragrances, perfumes, etc. This is made possible because of the special epithelial tissues found within the nose. These epithelial tissues contain sensory receptors. Now let's look at the nose. The part of the nose that protrudes on the face carries the nostrils. You can look at your friend and you'll tell that you find two round small holes that leads into the nose. They are called the nostrils or the nares. Now through these nostrils, oxygen enters into the lung. Remember that you cannot live without respiring. You take in air, you take in oxygen, and release carbon dioxide. There's also some part of the nose called the septum. The septum is simply a middle line that divides the nose into the two different nostrils that we have. It's called the septum. Within the nose, you find a cavity that's like a space. In this cavity, you have it lined with a mucous membrane. This mucous membrane performs a very special function of secreting mucus. I'm sure sometimes we see stuff like that coming out of our nose and we are very uncomfortable. When it comes out in excess, then something is wrong. But usually, in very small quantities, these mucus help to moisten and protect the nose from bacterial, fungi, viruses, dust, and other harmful particles. As those things come into the nose while you breathe, it helps to trap them within the nose so it doesn't get into our lungs. This mucus also helps us to moisten the air we breathe. Now within the nose also you find tiny hairs. You might have even noticed some of these hairs. These hairs also help us to trap particles and dust from entering the lungs. The nose is used to help us smell things. Just like we earlier said, I can appreciate the fragrance of the perfume because of the functioning of my nose. It also helps us respire. Remember we said we're taking air, we're taking oxygen through our nose. It helps to warn us against danger. You say how? For instance, when there's a gas leakage in your house, you would not know because you would never see the gas. And maybe you would strike a matchstick if you do not have a nose to perceive that there's a gas leakage. So as soon as you notice there's a gas leakage, you do everything to make the smell go away. Now it also helps warn us that the food is spoiled. Please don't eat it. You know what happens when you eat food that is not good anymore? When substances begin to burn, for instance, you're sleeping and you begin to perceive that distinct smell of a wire burning. Yes, it helps prevent danger. The nose also helps us to taste food better. You wonder how? Yes, there's so much that goes on in the body, and one of it is that the tongue, together with the nose, helps you taste food better. You realize that sometimes when you go down with a cold, you really don't appreciate food much. That's because at the point, your nose is not performing that function anymore of helping you taste the food. So the part of the tongue that helps you taste the food doesn't do it to its fullest. Now, this is because the nose and the mouth are closely connected. And when someone is not able to smell at all, we'll say the person has anosmia. Now, let's look at the tongue. I'm sure you know what the tongue is. It's pinkish. It's right within the mouth cavity. It helps us taste. It helps us appreciate, oh, I don't like this. It really doesn't taste pleasant. Oh, it's really bitter. Yeah, I don't like it. The tongue. Now, what's taste? It's the ability to detect the flavor of substances. Now, another name for this sense is gustation. The tongue is very mobile. That is, it can move around. If I ask you to wag your tongue now, you will do that. Just like you find a dog wagging its tongue, probably when you bring something nice, it sees bones, and it does its tongue this way and that. Yes, it's wagging its tongue. Because it's mobile, it has some muscles that move around to a very large extent. Now, it takes different positions in the mouth. Like as I speak to you, you notice that, okay, well, you will notice because it's right within my mouth, but I can tell you for sure that my tongue is actually moving and taking different positions. You can try it. It's pinkish in color and is found within the floor of the mouth. It is attached to the mouth by tissues and mucosa. Now, there's a particular structure that helps hold down the tongue in front. It is called the lingual frenulum. Now, behind, the real attachment of the tongue is the hyoid bone. It is attached to a particular bone right behind your throat, known as the hyoid bone. The tongue has different parts: the apex, the body, and the roots. The apex is simply the area, like the tip of the tongue. Yes, that's the apex of your tongue. It's that area that you easily see that moves around very freely. While the body of the tongue, it really makes up the large part of the tongue. It moves, but not as much as the apex of your tongue. The root, on the other hand, is down this area, is attached to the hyoid bone at this point. You will notice that your tongue is not really a smooth organ. You can notice or feel some level of roughness on the surface of your tongue. Most of what causes that roughness is the papillae. It's a structure that is found on the surface of the tongue. In this papillae, you find some sensory organs called your taste buds. Your taste buds actually helps you taste substances. Now, you find taste buds on your soft palate, pharynx, epiglottis, etc., in and around the mouth. But you find more taste buds on your tongue. And there are about 10,000 taste buds found within the mouth. Now, each of these taste buds contains about 50 to 100 taste receptor cells. We're back again to the word receptors. Now, these receptors help us taste chemicals in substances. Within a taste bud, the taste receptors sense sweet, bitter, salt, sour, and umami. I'm sure you wonder what these are. We'll talk about it a little later than now. Now, all 5 taste sensations are duly represented within a taste bud. The tips of the receptors are arranged in such a way that it forms a taste pole. These are the different taste receptors arranged in such a way that there's something that looks like a very tiny hole called the pore. Now, in this pore, chemicals dissolve. The taste receptors get stimulated. This stimulus is sent through taste nerve fibers to the brain. The brain interprets and helps you make the right response. The tongue is used to help us identify the flavor of substances. Usually, even though it doesn't hold true all the time, Most substances that are poisonous tend to be bitter, and foods rich in glucose tend to be sweet. Now, for this reason, we can say boldly that the tongue helps us detect when a substance is poisonous to an extent or when that substance is good for consumption. The tongue also enables speech. There are some words we cannot pronounce properly without our tongue. For instance, the TH words. They will be impossible to pronounce without your tongue. The tongue also helps cleanse the mouth. The tongue also aids chewing. You wonder how? Well, while you chew, sometimes the food goes off your teeth and your tongue redirects it back to that area of the tooth or the teeth where the chewing was going on. So it aids chewing. It also aids swallowing. It helps roll the food into the bolus, pushing it backwards to enable swallowing. The tongue, like the nose, is able to detect chemical substances. It has in them, or in it, the chemoreceptors. Remember we talked about some sensations of taste, and we mentioned the umami, sweet, salty, sour, and bitter. Yes, they are the 5 basic taste sensations found. Before now, we used to have that a certain part of the tongue just tastes or helps you taste a particular sensation. For instance, the sides of the tongue used to be for sour. Behind, we're taught that it helps you taste substances which are bitter, and the tip of the tongue helps you taste substances that are sweet. From research, it's been discovered that this is wrong. We now know that every part of the tongue helps you taste all the 5 basic sensations. And this is because it has been discovered that within a taste bud, you find all the 5 taste sensations in different amounts. Now, this is what is true. We have come to the end of today's class, but let's do a quick recap of all that we have learned. Receptors, we said, are cells which carry stimulus to the brain. We also learned that receptors receive particular kinds of stimuli, and for this reason, it helps us sense particular stimuli. For instance, we have the chemoreceptors, we have the thermoreceptors. The thermoreceptors help us perceive heat and cold. Some of these receptors are located within some special organs called the sense organs. Sense organs are organs in the body which helps us detect changes in our external environment. We also learned that the part of the nose that protrudes on the face bears the 2 holes, the nostrils. We learned that the septum is that midline that divides the nose into 2 halves. We said that the tongue is attached in front by the lingual frenulum and behind by the hyoid bone, or the behind is attached to the hyoid bone. Okay, now let's take one question to help us see how much we understood the class today. The left and right areas of the tongue are associated with dash taste sensation. A, sour taste sensation. B, sweet taste sensation. C, bitter taste sensation. And D, all of the above. If you recall, you would remember that we said the tongue enables you to taste 5 taste sensations. And we said that it no longer holds true that particular areas of the tongue helps you taste particular sensations. We learned that every part of the tongue is able to taste the 5 taste sensations. Correct answer here is all of the above, D. Thank you. This brings us to the end of the class.
If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel. You can also turn on notifications to stay updated on new videos on this channel. This Brain Friend video was brought to you by Synforest. For more of these amazing e-learning videos, get your copy of Brain Friend. With more than 1,000 e-learning videos, over 74,000 test items in more than 40 subjects, a career counseling guide, and many other amazing features, BrainFriend remains your foremost e-learning and exam preparatory software. BrainFriend. Learn better, make excellent grades.